All praises be to the Most High God, Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, whose name is Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh, bless the Lord Yahweh, and Barakatah Yahweh Shai, and bless His Son, whose name is Yahweh Shai. All praises be to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Wadash. Hey, it's the brother Sagalah, back with a lesson all through the Spirit. And this lesson is from the premise of this lesson is going to be from this article that you see here on the screen from the Atlanta Tribune.com. And the title, as you see, it says, Black women lost most jobs among all workers last month. So it's giving the demographics of what's going on in the job market, in the occupational market, which is all over the place because of the tariffs and because the economic systems, which are starting to fail more and more here in Babylon and worldwide. So this article here is getting into that. And I just wanted to touch on it and just speak on how everything that goes up must come down. That old saying, that old adage, everything that goes up must come down. And who has been up, who has been on top as far as within this society, who's the most educated, who has, the best jobs, who's accumulated the most wealth in the last 10 to 15 years. When you look at the different demographics, so-called black women have been the top of the top in the last 15, 20 years. Now, it goes on to say black women lost more jobs than other demographics in April, highlighting the effects of the Trump administration's efforts to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion, according to a report. While the overall unemployment rate for April 2025 remained stagnant, black women lost 38,000 jobs and their unemployment increased by 106,000. It says data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows the unemployment rate for black women rose to 6.1%, which is a full percentage point higher than the 5.1% recorded in March. So it's going up 1% a month so far. As we are getting into this, we finish this first quarter. It goes on to say unemployment rates among black women has steadily increased since February 2024. So this has been going on now for over a year. The unemployment rate for so-called black women is going up more and more. How much more when you put all the women of the tribes, the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American women in? Experts are linking job loss among black women to efforts by the Trump administration to strike down DEI initiatives at the federal level. Now, you can say that. That's definitely part of it. But this was going on while Biden was the president, before Trump took office, a whole year before. Now, it goes on to say, let's get this here. The unusual nature of this increase in black women's unemployment is a testament to a direct result of the anti-DEI and anti-black focus on the new administration's policies. It goes on to say an economist and the owner of Creative Investment Research said in a statement, this is demonstrably damaging to the black community, something we have not seen before. And what's coming is something that the world has not seen. And who's been ruling in this time has been Eve, the so-called black woman. But the Most High is actually about to take all that away. This is the book of Jeremiah 31 and 22. It says, how long wilt thou go about, O thy black backsliding daughter? For the Lord Yahweh hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. So in this time, we see that this is actually pertaining to the times we're in now. Although this goes back to being something that was said prophetically going back to the time of Jeremiah. But we see that's for the time we're in now. This is the time in the last half century where women have compassed a man. Now, let's read it again, Jeremiah 31 and 22. It says, how long wilt thou go about, O thy backsliding daughter? Speaking of the daughters of Zion, which are the women of Israel. For the Lord Yahweh, which is headed by the so-called black woman. The Lord Yahweh hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. So let's just get a few precepts. It says the woman would compass a man. they would overtake a man in authority, in power, in all facets of society. Women are actually have, leaped over the men. They have dominion over the men. And we'll speak to the order here in a minute, dealing with dominion. But let's first start with the order here. 1 Corinthians 11 and verse 3, but I will have you know that the head of every man is the anointed, or Hamashiach, and the head of the woman is the man. So the woman is supposed to have a head, which is the man. And now when you look at a lot of statistics, say somewhere between 30 and 35% of so-called black women live alone, meaning they don't have a head. They don't have a man that is over their household. But I will have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, the anointed, and the head of the woman is the man. And the head of Hamashiach, or the anointed, is God, or the Most High, whose name is Yahweh. So that's the order. So let's go over here to 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians, let's see, 11th chapter. So we said 1 Corinthians. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 11. 2 Corinthians 11th chapter. So it says the head of the woman is the man. Now this is 2 Corinthians 11 and verse 3. But I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through her subtlety, going back to Genesis, the 3rd chapter, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Hamashiach, the anointed. So we have to remember that the serpent beguiled Eve, or tricked Eve. So let's go and get that account. This is Genesis, and the serpent is about to actually betray Eve yet again. Because Eve didn't think that she was being betrayed when she went out of the way of righteousness and brought that unto Adam. So it says the serpent beguiled Eve. So here's that story. Let's get down to the point. This is Genesis 3 and 15. Speaking of the serpent, the seed of the wicked, which were the Edomites at this time. This was the wicked seed, the children of the wicked. And the righteous seed being the righteous line of Adam, which were the sons of God. The Israelites, before they were known as Israelites, they were the sons of God, the sons of Yahweh. This is Genesis 3 and 15. And I will put enmity, which is hatred and hostility, between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, meaning the righteous people, because the seed comes from the man. So her seed is really speaking of the righteous people, between the wicked people, the children of wickedness, which are the Edomites, and the children that are of the righteous line, which are the Israelites. And between thy seed and her seed, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Meaning that's the hostility that would be there. There would be a constant fixed hatred between the two. Genesis 3 and 16, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow, and in thy conception, in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Now, let's read this in the NLT. Let's read this in the NLT. Salakia. Let's read this in the NLT. I'm going to highlight this with yellow, make it even clearer. Genesis 3 in verse 16. And he said to the woman, I will sharpen the pain of your pregnancy, and in pain you will give birth. And you will desire to control your husband, what we read in Jeremiah 31 and 22. The woman hath compassed the man. And you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you. The man still has rule and authority, because that's given by the Most High God, Yahweh. Not by Esau, the man of sin, the man that is actually here on the earth today, ruling in wickedness. So that's not given by him. Esau can't give authority. But because he's ruling, he's given the woman authority. That's why they've compassed or superseded the man. 1 Timothy 5 and 6, but she that liveth in pleasure, and the head of that is who? Our women, the so-called black women, who's the most educated, who has the best jobs, who has the most freedom of all women on the earth, because of the power and prowess that she has been given by the serpent's seed for those that can receive it, by the wicked, by Esau. 1 Timothy 5:6, but she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. So even our women that might not have nice jobs or might not be highly educated, guess what they have? They still have power in this time, because if they go and have children or, get so-called married according to the society, then that gives them even more power. They can just procreate. They don't have to do anything. They can just procreate, and they can get a place to live, free food, through EBT, housing, all of that. They can go get child support from the man. So the women are still in power. But she that liveth in pleasure, so they're living according to their own pleasures, is dead while she liveth. Because really you're dead if you're not in the way of truth and understanding. If you go around the way of righteousness according to God, the Most High, you're really dead, as it says in Proverbs 21:16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So this is Ecclesiasticus 25. Just speaking further to that, Ecclesiasticus 25 and verse 24, it says, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. That's why it told us before that Eve was beguiled by the serpent. Let's read it again. Ecclesiasticus 25:24. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. And through her, it says we all die. So Eve was betrayed before, not knowing, and she's going to be betrayed again, which really is going to be the doing of the Most High, which is what it says in Isaiah, the 3rd chapter, starting at the 16th verse. The Most High is going to strip Eve, strip the so-called black women and the women of the tribes underneath her, and take everything from her, which ultimately that's the power, the power dynamic. So by taking away the jobs, the freedom of living, the hookup culture, the ability, as it says here, let me get this here. This is Ecclesiasticus 25 and verse 25. Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad. So by taking away the jobs, right, the liberty to gad abroad for women to be free to move how they want to move, to do what they want to do. So in doing that, that power is being taken away. The rejection of the authority that the Most High gave man, which the man is over the woman. We read that in 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter. The head of every woman is a man. Whoredom, once again, hookup culture, the ability to dress provocatively, not having any morals, not living by principles, righteous principles, the principles of the scriptures, not having decency, and ultimately the lack of order. All of that is turning upside down, and we're witnessing that right now. So all of these things are causing the end of the woman compassing the man. So there's going to be bigger problems for the women of the tribe, starting with the so-called black women, and all the other tribes is following after her. So with that, I pray that this lesson was edifying to you believing brothers and sisters. To you, Akim and Akwath, I want to give all praises, infinite honor and glory to the God of heaven and earth, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. All praises be to the Most High God, Yahweh, and his son whose name is Yahweh Shai. Honors be to the elect elders of the nation of Israel, Barakim La, Habayath, Madawadah. Blessings to the house of David, which you brothers labored, and to the Akim, Akwath, brothers and sisters that also listen and believe on the glorious gospel that's being preached throughout the four corners of the earth, day in and day out. Unto you I say Shalom. Shalom and Barakatham Yah.